Hey everyone, this is my deep conversation piece for the weekend, and I didn't really have a particular topic in mind, and I generally will research something before I dive into these deep discussions. So I'm just gonna kind of freely go off of kind of like what's going on and how I'm feeling. Today is Halloween, and for once, usually we have like a deep freeze on Halloween, and it is actually really nice outside. So, um, I feel bad for the kids that are not able to trick or treat because of whatever, the pandemic. So it is what it is, but what a shame. Like, it's like a really great night for Halloween. So I do know that there's people in our area that are still doing trick or treating, and some parents are choosing to do like fun activity at home with their kids, which to me sounds like fun. I'd probably do that with my kids if I had any. I'd probably do like a fun night and be like, here's all the candy. Um, but I don't have kids, so I don't have room to say anything. So that's the end of that topic. But it is really nice. And my mood went way up when I saw the forecast for next week. And it is supposed to be like near 70. And that just made me happy. So I am enjoying my doors open, my wind chimes are going. So overall, like, it's just amazing how my mood has just like gone up because it was like cold and rainy, and I think it snowed. I can't even remember. I can't keep track of days anymore. And it was like my mood just went way down. So I for sure have like seasonal affect disorder for sure. So, and I'm sure probably people, after hearing me complain about it several times, yeah, I hate the cold. So, anyways, I am still working on my piece, releasing baggage. I was going to finish it up, but there's still some parts of it that I'm still trying to figure out on releasing it. So I just wanted to make sure like I covered like as many areas as I could, or if I need to trim it out and just make it more generic. And the only reason why I'm trying to think is because at the 1 year mark, I'm going to take all my blog pieces and kind of rewrite them into like a story format and do like some sort of book. So that's kind of why I try to weigh like, what I want to put in there, because I have to think about how much extra work I would have to do afterwards. So, but the topic at hand, and it kind of goes with releasing baggage, is, it's reevaluating self-worth and, where you are in your life, and is it where you want to be. And for me, I had to really sit down and think about it. And it's like, I love what I do, I love my company, but I don't feel that like my a lot of resources that I hold are being tapped into, and I don't feel like I'm being elevated up and stagnant. And which is sad because like I said, I love my company, I love what I do. So I don't know what to do in this instance. So I've thought about, taking on, a second job. You know, because my husband and I really would like to buy a house. I mean, we live in a very nice apartment. It's spacious. We live in a very nice area. They're redoing the clubhouse where it's like got everything known to man, a bocce ball court, all sorts of stuff. So I have a feeling that rent is going to go up with it. So, and our rent for our apartment is about equal to or more than what a house payment is. That's how expensive apartments are in our area. They are pretty much like a house payment. So that's kind of like, you know, where my husband and I want to, you know, our next step is to move into a house. So it's like, you know, we know that we can do house payments because obviously we pay a lot of money for our apartment, but, you know, down payment and so forth. So, and, you know, getting some other stuff, you know, medical, whatnot, paid. So I'm just like, you know, I need to look for that second job. And then I'm like, do I have like the capacity to even take it on? Because when I'm done with work, I fall asleep for a couple hours and then I'm up. And on the weekend, it's sporadic when I fall asleep. So, like, I'll fall asleep in the afternoon and then I'll wake up, and then I will fall asleep at night and then I'll wake up. So, I'm like, I just don't know how I would do with that. And my husband is transitioning to a new job right now. So, we'll just see what happens. But yeah, it's just kind of like figuring things out, like to get us to the next phase of our life, because we're approaching 40. And, you know, at 40, I would expect someone to be living in a house. And I know it's not that way for everyone. Everyone's journeys are different, and, you know, everyone has their own setbacks and, you know, what goals they're trying to achieve. So I'm not trying to compare myself to other people, and I don't want other people to compare themselves to me. It's just kind of like where I'm at. Like, I'm almost at my 1 year mark, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress from what I was initially. So if I had started these videos from when this first happened, it is like 100% a different person. So I've made a lot of strides. I mean, you would never know that I had, you know, a craniotomy and a shunt put in, or a stroke. You know, I've made a lot of progress throughout this time, and it's just a lot of hard work that I've put in. And, you know, I still have some, you know, things that I'm working on, like physical strength. You know, I do stuff every night to rebuild my strength, because, you know, I'm working from home, which I absolutely love, but, you know, I'm not getting that exercise that I used to get by walking around all over the place. So I found, you know, my resistant bands, and, you know, I'm getting more creative as time goes on. And, you know, with my short-term memory, I was recommended to do speech therapy, which I still find very strange that speech therapy helps with short-term memory. But I'm weighing if I really want to do that or not. They called to make appointments, and I just don't know. I'm trying to think of ways like to like help, you know, do it myself. And I don't feel like it is as bad as it used to be. And to be honest, the short-term memory loss is like really maybe like a 10-second glitch at this point where, when someone asks or if I'm about ready to talk, sometimes like I have a pause or I have to look, up or down or whatever to recover that information. And, I think that's like pretty good in all honesty. The only thing that holds me back at this point is the severe stroke fatigue that I have. And I was told that like I probably have another year of it being really bad. And that's the only thing that really irritates me, is that I am just like so fatigued that I am sleeping non-stop, and it's messing up like my schedule, like, where like I'm falling asleep right after work, and then I get up like around like 9 o'clock at night, and then I'm up late, and then I wake up really early for work, and then it's just like, I don't know. And I feel like I'm wasting a lot of my weekends because I just really want to curl up and sleep. So I'm hoping my neurosurgeon is right that it's another year where it's pretty severe. And the other issue is that, and I've brought this up before, is I'm having migraines, and they are coming on strong, and they are coming on more frequent. And I honestly thought, where my aneurysm was located was where my brain aneurysm happened. So I thought, after the clip procedure, like, my migraines were done, because I didn't have migraines or any headaches afterwards. And I thought I was cured. And, my neurosurgeon, now that I remember, I think several times tried to like say it's not over with, like the headaches are not going to go away, which is why I also now see a neurologist who is managing my headaches. And I've told you about like the sample medication she gave me, which gave me bad side effects. And then there's a night medication I take, which I still haven't tried because I'm scared. But it sucks, because it happens while I'm working. So as I work, I'm able to do my work just fine. It's not like I'm struggling. Like I'm thriving in that area. Like I'm move, doing what I need to. But I also have that migraine on top of it. But I'm not someone that's like, because I have this, I can't, do my job. I am a workhorse. Like, I love to work. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I chose not to have kids. And this isn't a blow to women who have kids and work, because, I mean, you guys are rock stars. You guys are like way above a level that I could ever reach, because you are working and you are also managing a household. And so you are way past like me, and much better. So, but personally, for me, I know I couldn't do that. I couldn't manage having kids and a job. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. And I've always wanted to be like 100% career focused, and you will get 100% out of me, and I will do whatever I can to even go the extra mile of thinking about stuff. And I mean, I have so many thoughts that I have about healthcare that I have written down, and I don't know, that I think would vastly improve medical care. And I also focused in on stroke and, different. I looked up apps for stroke victims, and there's a lot of them out there where it's kind of like a journaling situation. That way you can kind of keep track of your good days and bad days. And so I did my research on every single one of the apps, and I was looking at what's missing in the market of this and what needs to be added. Like, what is something that I would want, or that I've noticed that other people have talked about. So I totally wrote out and made a huge plan app for stroke survivors. And I've done this with other conditions too, because while I work in the healthcare industry and I'm now more on the tech side of the healthcare industry, I'm actually looking not at what physicians can use, but more of what apps that people can use, because I'm a huge patient advocate. And I just think about when you go to a doctor's office and they say, how are things going? And before you go to the doctor's office, everything that's going wrong, just kind of adds up. But then once they open their mouth and ask that question, it's not all of a sudden a lot of that stuff escapes, and maybe you remember 3 parts of it. And the doctor's not getting the full story, and and your time's limited too, because a lot of these physicians, it's 15-minute increments that they see patients, and sometimes it's 30 minutes. But then they have the task of where they've got their computer open and they're typing along, because they have to meet all these sections in order to bill out a level of service. And so because they are bound to do all these sections, I don't feel like they're truly engaged. I do have some doctors that are, and they're still old school, and they write things down on paper. They have the laptop to look at lab references. And sadly, I know what's going to happen is they're going to go home at night, and then they're going to start charting at night. And it's that's not fair to them. But in 2021, they've changed the rules where the doctors don't have to meet a lot of that criteria. So I think it will get better. But what they're doing is they're reducing the payment structure for physicians. So I will give you an example. So if a primary care physician sees you, and it's kind of complex, going over diabetes and hypertension and going over your medication, they're getting paid, it's a flat rate, X amount of money. But it's your primary care physician, and they've been managing your diabetes, your hypertension. Now let's say that you find out that you have cancer and you're seeing an oncologist, and your oncologist is going through your information and going over chemotherapy, all this stuff. Well, they're going to get paid the same rate that your primary care physician's getting paid, because it's the same level of service. So I don't know what that's going to do. But that's just a little tidbit about doctor care in 2021. Is I don't know what that structure is going to look like, because I feel that since it is a flat rate, one, it is beneficial to patients in one way, that you have transparency to the price structure of a visit. Because before, with private insurance companies, they have these set rates, but let's say United Healthcare pays, a high amount of money for a certain level of service. Well, eventually what you're going to see is that office is going to match up to that to charge, because they know that they can get that price point. So, it's just, you're gonna get transparency on your price, but because doctors are not gonna get paid at the rate that they are used to getting paid, that I feel like a patient mill is gonna start happening. Because if you think about how much money you make in a day seeing X amount of patients, and if you see the same set and your payment has been reduced, the problem solving is going to be, now how can we put more patients in that span for that doctor to maximize how much money we're getting. So I have a feeling that, our visits are going to be cut pretty short, and that can collapse healthcare potentially, because, they're not being tended to. They're not having enough time to voice what's going on. The physician may be so, focused on get you in, get you out. And, I see things slipping through the cracks now with this new structure. And, the structure was basically to reduce the burden of physicians having to document. So when physicians do notes, they have 3 sections. It's history, exam, and medical decision making. And history is separated out to history of presenting illness, review of systems, family history, social history, personal medical history. So the doctor's got to hit those points. And then there's the exam section. And medical decision making is also split up to where it is split up by data, diagnoses treated, and then the table of risks, which is split out into 3, which is presenting problem, diagnostic, and management. So, all that stuff that I just listed out, think about all that stuff. And a lot of it's just redundancy. So it's focused now more on the medical decision making, which is important. But I believe because they are not required to fill out this nonsense information, and that their price points are so small. I mean, if you saw the payment structure, go online and look and see what it was of what these physicians were paid for a level of service. And I'll actually give you a code, 99214, and look and see what the price point is from CMS. And usually private insurance companies structure their payment plan based on what CMS is paying. So, look and see what that is and what they're suggesting. And you will see that eventually it's going to be a patient mill of, get in. Because, bottom line is that while they're treating a patient, they also have to keep their practice afloat and, pay their physicians. And, there's also, for doctor's office, you got to think about their liability insurance, and for the doctors, the nurses, etc. And, there's just so many, there's so much finance behind the scenes that goes on. So, if there is a way to get your information poured out to a doctor before you set foot in there, where you're able to document every single thing, and then that way it transfers to them and they're able to review that. That means that that doctor has that information ahead of time and is able to address it in that increment of time. And, then they can, tack on a, like that they reviewed something. So I don't know. There's just a lot of ideas that I've been thinking about, for patient care, as long as, being an advocate for physicians, because I know we feel like physicians, get paid a lot and kind of diva type, whatever, but, they went to medical school and they, they're intelligent, they're there to make you feel better. And are there bad apples out there? Absolutely. There's bad apples in every avenue that you go to. Police officers, banking, judges, you name it. There's bad apples everywhere. So, so I'm just worried what like the healthcare system is gonna be like, um, especially people who have like had a stroke or something. They've got thyroid issues, um, chronic kidney disease, um, hypertension, like I don't have like hypertension issues, but I do have elevated blood pressure here and there. And I actually have a blood pressure cuff at home that I take and document. So if I can journal in like my blood pressure readings and somehow that's transferred to the doctor to see how my blood pressure is going, they have visibility to what my day-to-day looks like. And it's not just, in the office when you took my blood pressure, because there's a joke that like your body doesn't perform the way that it does when you're in the doctor's office. Like I joked about that with my heart problems. Like, I have supraventricular tachycardia and POTS disorder, and I've had the SVT for a long time. And, when I go to the doctor's office and they, did my EKG, like my heart was acting perfect. And I'm like, of course it's acting perfect. And it acts perfect for a lot of people, so that's why you have to have those Holter monitors. And 24 hours is not even going to cut it, because it's like your body just won't do it. So it's like, you need like a month-long Holter monitor placed. So, but if there's a way for you to, pretty much like almost like you're taking your vitals and, documenting, your medication, if you have like an adverse reaction, or if you notice that your medication is just not working, and what time of the day you're taking it. So that way they can look and say, maybe if you start taking your medication at this time, you won't feel this way at this time. So it's just patient accountability of looking into what, their day-to-day is on managing their own health care and documenting it. And, that way it's transferred to the physician, so that way they can look it over. That way when you have that appointment, like it's not like you going, and trying to retrieve all that information. Because if you think about it, like your next visit may not be until like 6 months out, and a lot of things happen, and something really bad could happen, and when you get in the office you may not remember that bad event that happened. So, I've always I've journaled my stuff that happens, especially when I had was diagnosed with my POTS disorder. I had to write every time it happened, and food I ate and everything, because we were trying to figure out is there something that is causing the now the POTS is getting up quickly and going down, and it's that, but there's an autonomic nervous disorder where, so if you get up and your heart starts beating fast, your body goes into an automatic fight or flight mode. So then it you're breathing, everything, so your whole body is like a catastrophe. And I thankfully I've not had that problem for quite some time, because I think that have finally found the issues and the right medication, and it's well balanced. And it is that way because I journaled every single day about every time it happened. I wrote everything out. Was I feeling a certain way? Was I sitting for a certain amount of time? How much caffeine did I consume? What was I eating? Was I everything, you name it. And that POTS disorder made me drop weight like that. I mean, it was like a 20-pound weight loss. That's how bad it was. But I've gained it back thanks to COVID inactivity. I mean, I do my resistant band exercises, but so anyways, there's a lot of things that I want to do, as in the patient advocate arena of making sure that patients feel that they are heard and that they're able to express what's going on with themselves, and also being a physician advocate to where they have that information, because I know it's going to come to you guys that you guys are going to have to see patients on the fly to make up for lost revenue. Sadly, it's the American Medical Association that came up with that, which is a panel of physicians were able to talk, them into the requirements. But I don't, payment structure, I don't know how much they had to say in that. I don't think they like it. But to me, I don't think a primary care physician should get paid the same amount as an oncologist or a cardiologist. That's just my thought. So anyways, so there's a lot of things that I'm trying to reevaluate in my life. And it's I love my job. I want to stay. I'm not looking to leave or anything. I just wish that I could go up a little bit. And if not, what else can I do second job wise of tapping into this area of helping someone? And but at what level will it take away all of my energy? And do I have the energy? And then I was thinking about going back to school and looking at other stuff of ways that I can contribute to the stroke world, but I'm lacking some credentials to do that. But I don't know. I just would like to have a house, okay? Bottom line, I would like to have a house, but I would also like to make a major difference in healthcare. I have been very passionate about a difference in healthcare for almost 18 years. And I see all avenues of it, okay? Like, I've been the patient, I understand the frustration. I've worked for a large group of physicians and I see the frustration from there. I work for a tech company that's huge to help physicians and patients. So, like we're the like middle, to help and to alert. I mean, this company is wonderful of all the stuff it does with sepsis, you name it. And, so it's like I understand that part of it too. And so I feel like in the middleman part with patient and provider, like that there's got to be something more to like float to where like it curves off to the patient having some control of information that's interoperability towards that system that floods over to this doctor, and then they can pass it on that way. So anyways, these are just things that I think about. So I don't know what to do with that. It's all there. I just need to execute it and promote it and do whatever. So, but like I said, I'm right now, like I am in the fatigue arena. So it's a bit hard. And I really hope that I can get my book done and get that out. I don't even care about the money from book. I just like want people to read it and like gather, like get some insight and not feel alone, because in my blogs I am super honest on how I feel, and I just don't want people to feel like they are like an anomaly for feeling a certain way, because we all do. So anyways, I just have a lot of like thinking to do and mapping out my life, and I think this week is going to be the week to do it, since it's so nice out, like, and I feel so positive and upbeat about everything. Like, this is the time to really sit down and think. So, and the other part of it is kind of weeding other parts of my life out that are not necessary to me anymore. And, what feeds my soul and what doesn't. And, what is a burden and what isn't. And I need to look at that list and I need to chop whatever I can, because life is so short. And sometimes it seems like